Welcome to May Madness 2018, presented by Charger Dude 95. We begin in Arrowhead as the Chiefs host a surprising story out of the AFC South. 4-12 last year, the Houston Texans 9-7, and a trip into the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback formerly from Clemson, finds another former Tiger, a 30-yard bomb to begin the game to DeAndre Hopkins. A strong start for the Texans, but they would stall from there as Eric Berry turns the corner and brings down Watson. Houston would be forced to punt. The former Toledo Rocket, in his second season, an outstanding young career for Kareem Hunt. 12 carries for 106 yards today for the Chiefs runner. He picks up a first down. The Mahomes fires a strike to Robinson for the only third down conversion for Kansas City on the day, as Mahomes would later be incomplete on a pass nearly picked off by McKinney. We send you midway to the third quarter, both teams with a field goal on the board. Watson with a very similar looking play than the one they had to begin the game. A long ball to Hopkins, then on 3rd and 15. Houston in trouble. Watson needs to get out of it. He airs it out down the field, and it's caught by a diving Braxton Miller. Houston takes the lead on a wonderful play and a rundown. Top 5 nominee. The rundown show will air later this week. Late third quarter, Kareem Hunt begins the drive with a powerful run and a Chiefs first down. Then we switch to the fourth quarter as Mahomes on a second down fires a strike to Travis Kelce. The tight end rumbles in, and we are tied at 10. Next Houston drive, a play action again for Watson. He looks down the field and airs it out to a diving tight end. That's not Kelce, that's Stephon Anderson. A big play and another rundown nominee. Then Watson's next pass is intercepted. The linebacker from Alabama, Reggie Ragland, one of 2 turnovers for Houston today as Ragland returns it deep. Texans with a mistake-filled performance, also with 9 penalties, and Kansas City would take advantage. A 1-yard scoring run from Mahomes, and Kansas City takes the lead. Watson over 300 yards all-purpose today, and he would run for a first down, then fumble the football. And Nelson, the Chiefs' safety, returns 64 yards for a game clincher, and Kansas City wins it here at home 24-17. The Kansas City offense wasn't great, but was good enough to win. Arguably one of the greatest rivalries in professional sports, from Heinz Field, the Steelers and the Ravens out of the AFC North. And in Pittsburgh, this was a frigid football game. 26 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour winds, and snowing. For Baltimore on the road, they were underdogs coming in, but got off to a flying start with a Flacco to Brown touchdown connection. John Brown slated usually as number 13, wearing number 89 for this game. Late in the opening half, Roethlisberger with a 1-yard scoring plunge to tie the game at 10 going into the half. Baltimore, early in the third quarter, back to work on offense with Flacco, a 3rd and 11 off a play action. Flacco throwing into coverage, and the linebacker Bostic intercepts the football. One of 4 INTs thrown by Joe Flacco on the day, which is a playoff career high. Pittsburgh counters with a short yardage touchdown toss from Roethlisberger to tight end Jake McGee to take the 17-10 lead. Flacco begins the next drive with a connection of 25 yards to Perriman. And then on 3rd and 10, lets loose with a football off the fumble forced from Dupree. Luckily, Baltimore recovers, but it's a paltry effort in the turnover department for quarterback Joe Flacco. Late in the third quarter, Le'Veon Bell, he'd be busy, 15 carries, but for only 43 yards. Less than 3 yards a pop, and on 3rd and short, he's bottled up again, and Baltimore forces a punt. Late fourth quarter, Ravens, knowing they have to go the length of the field to tie, they begin with a long ball to the left side of the tight end. Then Flacco, who nearly slipped, finds the crosser Michael Crabtree, who breaks 2 tackles, and then back-to-back completions to a man who had a marvelous day, over 100 yards all-purpose for running back Alex Collins. And the Ravens, with the second strike to Collins, are in the Pittsburgh red zone. Ravens knowing down the stretch here in the fourth quarter, they must score a touchdown or the game is over. 4th and 6, off the no-huddle. Flacco looks deep, and he fires to the end zone for the diving Chris Moore. Touchdown, Baltimore. It would be his only catch of the day, and he picked a very good time to do it. In overtime, Ben Roethlisberger, after a 3-and-out on the previous possession, it's a 3rd and 8, and Roethlisberger, he would throw incomplete again. A season-low 71 yards passing against the number 1 defense in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens, and they'll get it back with plenty of time, and quarterback Joe Flacco, the veteran from Delaware, he begins with a run for Collins. Then on 3rd and 6, Flacco looking deep. He'd find that man again, the deep threat, John Brown, who makes the catch, the former Cardinal, inside the red zone. And Baltimore in position to win it with a field goal kick for Tucker. And this time, he would drill the field goal to win the game. Baltimore victorious 20-17. It was an ugly game for the turnovers of Baltimore. 4 interceptions for Flacco, but in overtime, the Ravens prevail and will visit the Patriots next week. The New Orleans Saints torched the NFC South with an offense top 5 in passing and yards per game. And in the wild card round, the Saints would go up against the Matt Ryan-led Atlanta Falcons, who would garner a wild card spot at 9-7. Breeze dialing up the deep ball early, but the throw would be well underthrown and intercepted. The only INT thrown from Breeze on the day. And Alford and the Falcons would take advantage off of 2 plays. The former Seminole of Florida State, Devonta Freeman, with a spin move and a 44-yard touchdown scamper. Atlanta leads 7-0. That Falcons offense would struggle the remainder of the day. Less than 2 yards per play for the Falcons. And the Saints would crawl back in at 7-6 early 4th quarter. And Kamar would begin a spectacular drive by the Saints as they would march 9 plays and 72 yards, led by Breeze. 2 big throws to Brandon Coleman for 42 yards on that connection. But on 3rd and 5, Breeze, near the red zone, would throw incomplete. Terrific drive to put the Saints back in it as he would go 6 of 7 for 77 yards. Last-ditch effort for Atlanta here late in the 4th quarter, down by 2. On a 1st and 10, Falcons with a short field. Matt Ryan with another check down. He would do that a majority of the day as his passes towards wide receivers were not on the mark. But on 4th and 3, he would have to find his go-to man Jones, who gained 7 to keep the Atlanta comeback hopes alive. And here is a crazy situation down the stretch of the game. Falcons go no huddle. Look at the clock there on the upper right. A false start by the right tackle. It's a 10-second runoff for Atlanta, and out of timeout, they have to settle for a field goal right away. And despite a good hold from Schaub, the kick is short by Matt Bryant. The ageless wonder for the Falcons couldn't do it, and the Saints prevail in a defensive tussle. A dreadful game for Atlanta with 45 yards passing, 6 first downs, and 5 punts. Saints 9, Falcons 7. This was a great game here from Minneapolis as the Vikings and Packers both finished 10-6 in the NFC. The Vikings with quarterback Kirk Cousins, their new shiny toy. He's up against the reigning NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers. Midway 2nd quarter, Cousins dialing up the deep ball as he'd unload it to Laquan Treadwell. He makes the catch in stride, but is tripped up just inches short. And as we look at the replay a bit farther, indeed, it's a tough call, but he's down about a yard away from the end zone. On 1st and goal, Cousins looking to score, throws it complete. Cook is taken down 2 yards of the backfield. 3rd and goal, Cousins pass incomplete. And the Vikings, they have 2 red zone trips and have 0 touchdowns to show for it. And as we head to the 4th quarter, the Vikings still lead, but it's only 9-3. Cousins completes a first down pass to Morgan, the fullback, who loses the ball and nearly turns it over. Then Minnesota on a 3rd down the stretch of this game. Cousins goes deep, and this time the pass to Treadwell is knocked away by Tramon Williams, and the Packers take over down by 6. The quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he's been in this situation a time or 2, or 11 of them, where he has prevailed in the 4th quarter coming back. After a 3rd down conversion to Ripkowski, a long ball of 19 yards to Cobb, who is an 1,000-yard receiver, and a throw to Davis leads us to the 2-minute warning. Packers in plus territory. Then Hunter brings down Rodgers. He's the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. 4th and 8, this is for the game. Aaron Rodgers, who would throw for 168 yards, finds his man. That is the former Cal Bear, Davis, out inside scoring range, and the Packers on a 1st and 10 after a marvelous drive convert with a touchdown. Rodgers to Adams, a 20-yard go-ahead score after a 10-play, 80-yard touchdown drive. What a march engineered by Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings would have more yards than the Packers, but Green Bay has the lead. clock hitting 000. Other than the flag, this is it. Cousins' throw is yet again knocked away, and the Packers come back down 6 and knock off the Vikings 10-9. Rodgers wasn't great, but he was good enough to win. And Green Bay, one of the 4 victors in this wild card round. Chiefs over the Texans, Ravens outlast the Steelers, New Orleans a 9-7 win, and the Packers over the Vikings 10-9. As we transition to the divisional round, here are the matchups for next weekend. NFL Sim Rundown is this coming Wednesday, and much more with Charger Dude 95.